Hello, and welcome to another midweek musical moment where we take a little bit of a closer look at some of the music that will be featured in upcoming church services during the season of Lent. My name is Matt, and I am the organist here at Haddonfield United Methodist Church. And for today, I will be talking a little bit about movement number 6, De Profundis, from 9 Pieces for the Organ, composed by Jean Langlais. Now, Jean Langlais was a French organist and composer, born in 1907, died in 1991. He was a member of Marcel Dupre's organ class at the National Conservatoire in 1930, and he was also a pupil of Charles Tournemire, who was a renowned improviser in his day, and his influence very much so shows up in the music of Jean Langlais. Tournemire was famous for being able to improvise entire voluntaries or postludes or incidental music within the church service with nothing but the single line of Gregorian chant out of the missal for whatever prescribed service was being held that day. But from that, he was able to compose entire pieces of music from just a single line of chant. And this very much so shows up in the music of Jean Langlais, although with his own unique harmonic stylings and compositional techniques. Some of these compositional techniques include borrowing from the church modes that date back all the way to the Middle Ages, such as Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, etc., and using these church modes to alter slightly the melody of the Gregorian chant that might be showing up in one of his pieces of music. He also used a technique called bitonality, which is basically when you have two chords that don't really fit well together, let's say C major and D major, and if you put them together, they create their own unique harmony in and of themselves. Now, of the over 250 compositions that Jean Langlais composed, the vast majority of them are composed with inspiration and basis upon Gregorian chant, again, taking inspiration and direction from his teacher, Charles Tournemire. He also succeeded Tournemire in his post as organist titulaire at Sainte-Clotilde in Paris, a position that he held from 1945 until 1988. Now, this particular set of pieces, Neuf Pièces pour Grand Orgue, or 9 Pieces for the Organ, comes to us from the beginning of his tenure at Sainte-Clotilde around 1945, and it includes 9 different pieces with 9 different titles. This particular piece, which is number 6 of the collection, is titled De Profundis, which is the Latin name of its German counterpart, Aus tiefer Not, which is a hymn tune that was composed by Martin Luther in the 1520s, and the text is a transliteration by Luther from Psalm 130, which in English is titled, Out of the Depths I Cry to Thee, O Lord. Luther's text is, Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Now hear me calling. Incline your ear to my distress, in spite of my rebelling. And then it goes on from there to include an entire hymn, again, composed and written by Martin Luther in the 1520s. And this piece is an interpretation of that hymn tune. Jean Langlais does an incredible job of using his compositional techniques and his harmonic styling to create a psychological and emotional topography that accurately and movingly reflects the feelings of the psalmist as he was writing. So, for example, from the very beginning, we have these low chords in 16th notes that are constantly moving back and forth, creating a feeling of tension and unease and unrest. And it's not until we finally get to a clearly demarcated harmony, E minor, that the melody of the tune comes in on the right hand on a solo reed. The first two melodic phrases repeat themselves. So in effect, we go back to the beginning with a repeat sign. However, the first time that these melodic phrases show up, the accompaniment is on the swell organ with the left hand, and the registration is for reeds and mixtures, which creates this very even with the swell box closed, it creates a very dark and brooding and fiery sound for the organ. However, when we go back for the second time, we take out the reeds and the mixtures, and it becomes a chorus of soft foundations and flute stops. So it creates an entirely different timbre, basically. And that could be interpreted as accurately reflecting verse 2 of Psalm 130, "Lord, incline your ear to my distress in spite of my rebelling." Now, a couple of other interesting things to pay attention to when listening to this piece. When we do move on past the first two melodic phrases and the repeats thereof, when we get to the next melodic phrase that, again, starts in the right hand, then the pedal joins in underneath that with the same melody, just doing it slightly behind the right hand. And then here we have a very interesting and effective technique, which is on the positive organ on the right hand. We have two instances of the opening melody of the hymn tune, but they're played over each other and overlapped, and it harkens back to the beginning of the piece, and that sounds like this. So it basically, for sake of ease and remembering, it's like a mini round, essentially. And again, it harkens back to the opening phrase of, "Out of the depths I have cried to you." And then towards the end, to wrap things up, after that last melodic phrase finishes on a low E, then we have a series of chords that are disjointed from each other, as you'll hear in the recording. Now, on first listen, these might not seem to have anything to do with each other and just be random chords for the sake of nothing else. Then we just needed something to finish the piece. However, when you look at and listen closely to the top notes of each of these chords, it actually is the same opening melodic phrase from the very beginning. And when you play these chords together without the pauses and the rests in between them, you really hear them come together. And the fact that there are rests between most of these chords, I interpret to mean he's painting a picture with music of the depths of sorrow and depravity that the psalmist is meant to be speaking from. Now, we do have this hymn in the United Methodist Hymnal. It's number 515, and even though it is not programmed as one of the hymns that will be sung by our hymn singers during the season of Lent, I still wanted to use the hymn tune and program some music that is inspired by and has its base upon the hymn tune because of its tradition as being used within the Lenten season. And even if it weren't to be used in the weeks of Lent, it is still very indicative of penitence and sorrow and recognition of needing grace from God. And that, of course, is an ethos that is infused throughout the 6 weeks of Lent leading up to Easter. Therefore, I wanted to use music that draws on that tradition. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to stay tuned for the recording that I made on the organ that will be starting in just a few seconds. And I hope you have a great week. Until next time.